Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. I'm so glad you're here with us this morning. You know, we all have blindness in our lives. And if we can understand what that blindness is and understand how important it is for us all to have our core values, our core strengths, our core beliefs really in alignment with our vision, then we're going to be so much better off. So I want to tell you a little bit about what we have coming up for you. At the end of today, or at the end of this interview, I want to tell you the speakers that we have coming on. They're also very, very knowledgeable and aligned with their vision and their core beliefs, all that. So much like the speaker that we're bringing on today to come in, and he has just been phenomenal to be able to work with us and to let you all experience what we're all going through and what he's going through from a vision perspective and the whole alignment point of view, how important it is. So without any further ado, I want to bring on our guest for today, and that is Mr. Ed Tate. Ed, good morning.
Good morning, Brian. Thank you. Thank you for having me on your show.
Absolutely. I'm so glad you joined us. So Ed, before we get started, I want to just really help our audience to understand, where you come from, what your story is, how have things gone for you in the past, some of the ups and downs. Take us through all that, if you would, and I will listen attentively in the green room.
Okay. All right. So my story, people ask me, I'm a 20-year professional speaker, and people always ask me, like, how'd you get into the speaking business? Well, the real story is this, raise your hands, and I'm assuming that you'll raise your hands out there, is if you know that kids can be the cruelest people in the world. Well, growing up, I'm a stutterer. And by the way, there is no cure for stuttering. And when I was a child, my dad was in the military. We would go to a new neighborhood, and within 2 days, kids would make fun of me. And you ever get to that point where you're sick and tired of being sick and tired? Well, that's probably the theme for 2020. But I was sick and tired. We're about to move to a new neighborhood. And I was determined that the kids would not make fun of me. I was in 4th grade. So every day before and after school, I would read newspapers and magazines out loud. In my neighborhood, kids like to play basketball. So one day I had the brilliant idea of being a play-by-play announcer. I would do this live as the kids played basketball. So I said, hey, well, who's your favorite player, et cetera? And I did that. So anyway, we moved to the new neighborhood. Sure enough, kids don't know that I am a stutterer. Then I happened to go to a high school, South Shore High School in Chicago, Illinois, and we actually had a television studio. So I was a news anchor there for 4 years. In college, I went to the University of Illinois, and I became a disc jockey, not at a student-run radio station, an actual real radio station, and I was the #1 disc jockey for 4.5 years. I spent 17 years as an executive in the computer industry, and there I was a spokesperson. And then a guy by the name of Randall Shelton one day walked up to me, and I joined this club called Toastmasters. And he said, hey, there's this thing called the World Championship of Public Speaking. You're really good. You should enter this thing. Well, I had no idea what he was talking about. And he pestered me for 1.5 years. And he got to the point where, am I going to continue my membership in Toastmasters, or am I going to enter this contest? So I had a conversation with Randall. I said, Randall, here's the deal. I'm in this contest one time. And after I lose, I don't want to ever have this conversation again. Well, I didn't lose. And the World Championship of Public Speaking has been going on since 1934. Only 80 people in the world have won this competition. It's a year-round competition. Over 30,000 contestants every year. In the year 2000, I won the entire competition. And that was the jumping point of my speaking career. So that, in a nutshell, is my story, Brian.
Wow. That is amazing. So 1 year, you just went after it 1 year, and you got it.
Yes, and I didn't realize what I had done until later on, because apparently I'm one of like a handful of people. I think there's like single digits, the people who've entered the competition and won it the first time around.
That is incredible. So,
but here's the lesson, though. Here's the lesson. In this case, Randall saw something in me I didn't see in myself. And I'm pretty sure your audience members have had that experience. There's somebody who sees something in you that you can't even see in the mirror. You can't even see like the end of your nose. And I'm so glad that, he was able to see what I couldn't see in myself.
Yeah. So Ted Legal here is, he's one of those people where he sees or people see a lot in him that he may not always see. So he got picked on all the time. So
Yeah,
he can.
okay, thank you, Ted.
Yeah. So that's fascinating. So I've got to ask, what was your? It was 2000 when you had
Yes.
it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what was your speech all about?
The speech is called One of Those Days. I used to live in Denver, Colorado, and the Denver International Airport had just opened up. And the thing is, there used to be an airport called Stapleton in Denver, and I used to love Stapleton because I could be in my house 5 minutes before my flight, and I swear I could make the flight. And I'd never been to DIA. DIA, in terms of geography, is one of the largest airports in the world, 52 square miles.
Yeah.
So I'm going to this airport for the first time. I'm running behind schedule. I'm speeding. I get pulled over by a cop. He gives me a speeding ticket. I'm thinking like, oh my God, I cannot miss this flight. I cannot miss this flight. So anyway, I get a ticket. And basically the conversation is I missed my flight. So now I'm upset. And the reason I'm upset, not because I was late. It's not my fault, It was because that United Airlines and the airport had decided to actually enforce the 2-bag limit. Okay. So prior to that, had you shot a deer in Colorado, you could bring it on the plane. Do you remember those days? Yeah. This is, hey, it'll fit in the overhead. No problem.
Sure. Right.
And well, anyway, there were lines literally looping the airport, just like how they were after 9/11. And anyway, so I decided I'm going to go to customer service and give them a piece of my mind. And in line, I'm rehearsing what I'm about to say to the customer service agent. And in line ahead of me, there's this tall guy, and this guy says verbatim, word for word, what I was about to say. He missed the same flight, except one thing. He called the woman behind the counter the B word. And I'm thinking like, whoa, we don't have to go there. And it was like the silence was deafening. You have this really super busy airport. Everyone's in line, and then boom. So anyway, the guy just kind of storms off. And then I could see the woman, she was shaking behind the counter. And I just say, hey, man, just, take your time. I'm in no hurry. And she says, what can I do for you? I says, like, look, I couldn't help it over here. If you can get me on any flight to Phoenix, Arizona today, that would be fine. Well, she gets me on that flight she just told him no to. And I'm thinking like, whoa, all right, cool. Huh. Anyway, so I'm happy. I called my boss. Hey, I'm just going to be like a little late. No problem. We're going to be there. So I go to the food court, and guess who's in line ahead of me again? And this now he's giving the wait staff a hard time. And I don't know what it was. I haven't done it before and haven't done it since. But I confronted this guy, and I confronted the guy. Says like, dude, what is your problem? It's just like the woman behind the counter, was trying to help you get on the flight. This woman was just trying to get you food. Just be nice. Then all of a sudden, pow!
What?
His girlfriend hit him in the arm and said, yeah, be nice. She says, you've been embarrassing me all day. It's just like, I can't believe this. So anyway, they kind of walk away. And anyway, so I go to the gate, and I notice I'm a multi-million mile flyer. And one thing you notice behind the gate, if there's a suit behind the gate, this is not a good day. Because usually you have uniformed personnel. But anyway, there's a suit. I'm thinking to myself, well, maybe that customer service agent, she wasn't supposed to give me my ticket, that last ticket on that seat. Maybe she was supposed to give it to this other guy. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm keeping this ticket. So anyway, I give my ticket to the gate agent. The gate agent says, hey, this is the guy. I'm thinking like, oh, man, they're going to take my ticket, And the guy in the suit reaches his hand and says, Mr. Tate, I want to thank you for what you have done. And he said like, our number one job is to get our passengers safely to their destinations. And we do that every single day. And he said, I just want to thank you for what you've done, sir. May I please have your ticket? I'm thinking, oh, no, he's taking my ticket. And he upgraded me to first. And the reason he upgraded me to first was when I confronted him outside of the food court, there was a supervisor who had witnessed how rude he had been to one of her employees. She took her lunch break at that exact moment when I confronted him. and she reported that to the boss, and literally the next 5 flights I got free upgrades, to first class. Now
Really?
on the 6th flight, on the 6th flight, I'm thinking like, hey, it's me, it's Ed, Did you check the system? I'm sure it's there. But anyway, I just tell that story. The story is called One of Those Days. And then the moral of the story is like, sometimes it's you. There is nobody else. Somebody will say that, someone will do this. There's that, so that's the expression we always say, someone's got to do something. Yeah. Well, sometimes that somebody is you. On that particular day, it was me. And now here's something else. Here's another lesson. Again, I haven't done it before, haven't done it since. But that one moment in time that I stepped up and I didn't know anybody was looking, it has continued to pay dividends to this day.
Huh.
Isn't that amazing?
That is absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
I love that story. I think that's something that we all can take from, that we need to do better, try harder to be a better person. And you never know what's going to happen. It may not be that day. It may not be your day, but I like it.
Well, the thing of it is, I just thought of the woman behind that counter. That woman behind the counter, she looked like one of my relatives. And I'm thinking, like, what happened if that was one of my relatives? And then, like, for me to not say anything, I felt really embarrassed the first time when the guy kind of stormed off and I didn't say anything. Yeah, and it was almost like I got a do-over, So anyway.
Well, so Ed, this is fascinating. I really love the story. But tell me, what's the biggest factor in your success? And I've got some stuff here for you to show a little bit more about your business to our audience. I have your URL, so that's one of them where they can get some information for you. Is that fair?
Oh yeah, absolutely. As a matter of fact, that's a free video that me and my assistant, her name is Summer. She's my business manager, and she's been working virtually for well over a dozen years. So myself and another speaker pal of mine, his name is Mike Davis, who's an expert on presenting virtually. We all got together. The first thing we did when COVID hit was put together this 1-hour free webinar in terms of how to work from home. For there's a lot of people who don't work from home, and how to establish ground rules, how to be productive, how to stay focused, and things of that nature. So I think people enjoy it, and we've had thousands of people sign up for this, and it's free. It's complete free. There's no strings attached.
Well, that's great. I appreciate that. So I'm sure our listeners will appreciate that as well. So I've got to ask. So
sure.
It's kind of a curveball.
Okay.
But tell me, growing up in Chicago, or at least being in Chicago for a while, you've had some really good pizza.
Okay.
What is your favorite pizza and why?
Oh, man, there is a place. Again, I'm a graduate of the University of Illinois, which is in Champaign, Illinois. For those of you unfamiliar with the geography, that's in the center of the state. I'm not a thick pizza pie guy. There's a place called Papadale's Pizza in Champaign, Illinois. It's thin. It's almost like cracker-like, if you will. And it's crispy crust, and it is the best pizza ever. Really? Yeah, that's my preference. I know, like, a lot of people like the Chicago deep pies. Not so much. That's the pizza I grew up when I went to school, and absolutely, I'm always comparing pizza to Papadale's. So
Papadale's, and you don't live in Champaign anymore, right?
No. I'm just I live in a place called Henderson, which is just outside of Las Vegas.
Oh, okay, awesome. Sorry, I needed to ask that.
That comes up all the time, like New York or Chicago pizza. Well, I'm kind of leaning towards New York.
Oh, that's
I know that's heresy. I know it's heresy for the people who are, they're I'm probably going to be, this is like, hey, we're not going to let them in the state anymore, So anyway.
Well, here, Ted is a big long list here of what he's. He says, aha moment came with two things. One day, the football coach at his high school back in 1987 said, "You seem like a strong guy. How would you like to work with the football team? I would like to use you as a motivational tool to push the team to work harder." that was some of the best things that happened to me. It gave me the confidence to realize, and even with my disability, I can make a difference. I can make it in life. I can motivate people. The second was at age 12 when I became a telemarketer, and I realized there was more here. So, I realized, well, I didn't get the rest of it, but Ted has got some great stuff. So he appreciates you as a motivational speaker and all that you and obviously what has gone on here from a motivational perspective, not just from the pizza point of view, but also for us all to understand that our stories matter, and if we can tell our stories to the world, that will make all the difference in the world. So we need to keep doing that. So without any further ado, I really wanted to make sure that we had a chance to talk a little bit more with you about your vision and where you are today, where you see yourself in the future. And really, I guess the first point that I'd like to ask is, what are some of the challenges that you experience, and what is the biggest kind of challenge you're trying to get over?
Well, 2020 has been a long decade. I think you'll agree.
Yeah, right.
And the first quarter of this year, again, I'm a full-time professional speaker. My business is dependent upon social gathering, not social distancing. So, as you can imagine, it's been a big time challenge. I've lost over $250,000 worth of business literally within days of COVID. Thankfully, some of my longtime customers and clients, they've actually rescheduled me for 2021 and 2022. So I've recovered close to $100,000 worth of business. But again, it's pivoting, not panicking. I've been in business for 20 years. So after I've been in business for the 1 year, we had 9/11. And fortunately, I didn't lose any business. All my business got rescheduled that year. However, it wiped out a third of the speaking industry because there was no travel for quite some time. A lot of conferences and conventions got canceled. Then we had the economic crisis of 2007, 2008. Now that I almost went bankrupt. I mean, again, within a 2-week period, I had a $500,000 business, and then my biggest clients went out of business within days. It was absolutely crazy. But fast forward 1 year later, and I recovered $288,000 worth of business. Now,
wow,
it wasn't where I was before. However, that was enough for me, to continue business. Now, to compound matters, in 2007, not only did I lose all my business, I just got divorced, and my son was going to Georgetown University. And I had days when I couldn't sleep and I couldn't eat. I'm thinking like, hey, how I'm going to, keep my responsibilities to both, like my ex-wife and to my son, and I was able to do that. And here's the lesson is it's never the economy. It's always your economy. And there's business out there. There's business out there right now. There are certain companies which are thriving. I wish I had Amazon stock right now, or any type of online company right now. But there are organizations out there which are thriving right now. And like, if you have a business that actually has a service that can support those thriving businesses, I would invite you to do that. And there's a lot of companies which got started during recessions, and if you will, like, Microsoft and Allstate Insurance. And Uber, Uber got started during like 2007, 2008, et cetera. So the lesson here is there's business out there.
Yeah, that's a great lesson and great advice. So tell us and our audience, what is the best advice you've ever gotten?
Best advice I've ever gotten. I read a lot. Actually, the best advice I gotten was listening to Randall Shelton into the World Championship, because that completely changed my life. I mean, like I'm living a life that I could only have imagined. Because of my life, I met my second wife while I was on tour in South Africa, and we have like a 1-year-old baby. So that was Randall. Thank you. That continues to pay dividends to this day. You have a
1-year-old baby right now?
I do. I've got a 34-year-old and I got a 1-year-old baby, and that's another story as well. My wife apparently she had surgery in her. When she was in university, and they botched it, and they messed up her reproductive system. So, for for decades, they told her, hey, you can never have children. You can never have children. And, we'd been married for 4 years, had no reason to doubt that whatsoever. And then one day she's on tour with me in Chicago. And, we both say, well, it can't be that, can't be that. And I to myself, this looks awfully familiar. She says, well, it can't be that. Doctor, numerous doctors have told me it can't be that. Yeah. And it was that. So we have a beautiful 1-year-old daughter. Her name's Toriel, and I'm all in. The word retirement is not a part of my vocabulary. So.
Yeah. Well,
but she keeps me young.
Yeah. I love babies. That's very, very cool. So what is it that you do daily to bring you clarity?
So I have a little morning routine, if you will. So number one is meditation. I like to meditate. I'm up to actually 20 minutes, which has taken me like a long time to get up to that degree of meditation. But I do something specifically called analytical meditation, and this is I found this out from the Dalai Lama, and that is rather than focusing on or trying to clear the mind, which to me that's a challenge. However, analytical meditation is if there's a specific problem or challenge that you're facing, what you try to do is you try to focus on that specific problem. And you try to almost put that problem into a bubble, if you will, or to see that problem from a completely different angle. And it takes a while, but it's amazing the ideas that just pop up. So immediately after my meditation sessions, I journal. So I capture any ideas going from there. And here's my journal right here. I've got, as you can see, I do this on a regular basis, and I've got footnotes and I've got tabs. But a lot of my blog posts, come from my journal as well. And then I like to read. So I read right now. I'm in the middle of about 4 or 5 different books or so. So that's my routine. It's just it just kind of gets me centered, and then I can attack the day.
No, that's great. What does your next level of success look like?
Wow. Good question. I've been in the speaking business for 20 years. Mm-hmm. And I've co-authored about 5 books, but I've never done a solo book, if you will, a book on my own, or as a buddy of mine says, a big boy book. So 2021, one part of my success is, doing a big boy book, but I want to one of the things that we do, my company does, we help organizations and individuals and teams who are not sales professionals win high stakes presentations. So I'd like to write a book about that, how to win high stakes presentations. And specifically, it's not another sales book. My success has been my ability to tell stories. And a lot of my clients, they've been successful with my storytelling techniques. And so we tell stories in order to close business.
Yeah, that's incredible. I love the whole idea of being able to do that. So I think it's very important for us all to be able to tell those stories and to use them in the appropriate manner. Mm-hmm. That's a skill, definitely a skill. So that's great. You've got so much going on, and you're so busy. I can tell you're a type A personality. What do you do to recharge? What do you do to recharge?
Let's see. Well, my just playing with my little girl right now, because right now, unfortunately, we just got shut down again yesterday. The governor announced that we're locked down until the end of January. So what I historically like to do is I like to bike ride. I've lived most of my life, even though I'm from Illinois, I've lived most of my life in Colorado. So, love skiing, whitewater rafting, mountain biking. I'm a big time mountain biker, and I love playing tennis. So there's been a limit to those types of activities of late. And probably the biggest thing lately is just playing with my little girl. So I shut down at 4, 5 o'clock in the afternoon. And we played for several hours yesterday. That was cool.
Huh. Wow. That's great. That's gotta be a lot of fun.
Oh, it is.
So you're like me. You have certain people you don't see much. You don't see many people anymore. I'm assuming, but mm-hmm. in the work world, it'd be easier to ask this question of people, because they go to office and they see different people that help them. But who helps you to see your blind spots? Because we all have blindness in our lives, but who helps you to see yours?
Well, I've got several people in that role. One of your previous guests is Patricia Fripp. Patricia Fripp is the first female president of the National Speakers Association. She's also in the Speaking Hall of Fame, and she's a dear, dear friend. She's a person who she's a straight shooter, if you know anything about Patricia. And so she's a person who helps me with my blind spots. I have two other world champions of public speaking. One is Craig Valentine. He's a 1999 world champion, and Darren LaCroix, who's a 2001 world champion. And we are the best of friends. And for, let's see, I'm going to say for 15 years, and we've been doing this, once a month we get together and we just talk about each other's business. So like we've got that schedule for next month as well. And we've been doing this for years and years. So these are guys who know me very, very well, and who have helped me, to see things straightly. And then finally, I've hired coaches. So one of the first things I did this year, and what I did in 2007, and also what I did in 2001, was I hired coaches. And so right now I've hired a coach, and that's probably like one of the best investments I've made this year. And sometimes you make an investment, not necessarily to get an ROI, but just to keep your head on straight. So 2001, I knew that these circumstances had never happened before, and I needed an outside brain. I needed someone who could see things clearly. So I hired a guy by the name of Dr. Alan Weiss, and I've hired him multiple times. AlanWeiss.com.
Another great speaker.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And then again, Colleen Francis is who's a sales expert. So I needed help with sales. So I said, hey, I need someone who's an expert. And she basically was my sales manager for like the next 18 months or so. And there's a lady by the name of Lisa Lauder who I've hired right now. And she's more of a business coach as opposed to a speaker, if you will. So I just, and she's a person who's she's just holding me accountable, just making sure that I'm focused on business on a weekly, on a daily basis. So that's what I do to stay focused. Is I just know that, you know what used to work, done. I need some expertise, someone who's successful, and then all the people I've just mentioned, they run multi-million-dollar businesses.
Wow, yeah, that's admirable. I'm going to keep my comments for a little bit later, but that's admirable. I really appreciate that. So you talked a little bit about your morning routine. Can you tell us more about that?
Sure. It's about I'm a morning person. So I love the quiet and the calm. I think I get my best ideas in the morning. I'm the most focused in the morning. I'm not, at night, when it comes to mental work, because my job it's 100% mental, so my highest energy level is in the morning, etc. So I want to, again, what's a challenge or a problem, or maybe there's a blind spot, or maybe there's a habit that I've developed, or in this case, COVID, it would be so easy to panic. Like, for example, a lot of speakers, our calendar determines our confidence, if you will. We see all these speaking dates on their calendars, like, hey, I'm doing very, very well. And then all of a sudden your calendar's empty. Well, don't look at your calendar for confidence. So, again, panic, don't pivot, don't panic. And I pivoted, and I've actually done about 35 virtual keynotes. I've actually been doing keynotes from all over the world. I've done like Singapore, India, throughout Africa, obviously throughout the United States, Canada, Europe, England, Germany. It's just, so I've just pivoted as opposed to panicking. And so that morning routine is all about, okay, how can I solve this problem? How can I solve this challenge? How can I keep moving forward? It's just one day at a time. And this has been it's been a good year. It hasn't been like I said, Q1. This was scheduled to be a great year. Right. But now with my coach, for example, we're having a strategy session next month, and then we're saying, okay, now we know about the pandemic. Now we know what the landscape looks like. Okay, now with this new information, what's going to be a plan for not only 2021, but also we're going to be planning 2022 as well.
So this new coach is specific to your business.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Well, this is fascinating. You could be on for hours, and we can talk about this. I think this is fascinating because I also know how important it is to have coaches, but I hope all of our listeners really understand that as well. So if there's one thing that you can send them off with, what would it be?
Oh, wow. We've talked about so many different things here today.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm also a coach, and I always tell people like, hey, your coach gets a coach. So if your business is struggling, the thing I would invite you to do is go out and check out some people who can help you with specific aspects of your business. So, for example, I went to Colleen Francis. She's an expert in sales, and in 2007, I needed help with sales. And now I need help with just running my business and things of that nature. In the past, I've hired Patricia Fripp as a coach. She was my first presentation coach, if you will. So depending on the skill set that you need help with, I'm reading this great book. It's called Who, Not How. It's by Benjamin Hardy and Dan Sullivan. It is an amazing book, And you asked me earlier, what's some of the best advice? I'm going to tell you, love that book. Absolutely love that book. If I were to start my business all over again today, I wish I would have read that book, because I'm a former executive in the computer industry, and there's this mindset in the computer industry that you can do everything on your own. I think that's horrible advice, because there's certain things that you're good at, and there's certain things that you're not. And then the things that you're not good at, what you need to do is you need to find a who. And in my particular case, that's the first thing I did is say, hey, I need someone who's going to help me think about business, who's going to hold me to, make me accountable, also help me not to panic. So that's the thing I would advise for your followers and your listeners.
Wow, that's awesome. Great advice. I appreciate you. I appreciate you taking time out of your day to be with us. So this means a lot. I know you got up early to come in to be with us and to get on the line. So really, I'm very, very appreciative of that. So thank you. And
thank you for having me on the show.
And we will talk to you soon. If you would stay in the green room for me, and I'll come back here in a second.
Okay.
Thanks a lot, Ed.
Thank you.
All right. Take care. All right. Whoa. Holy cow. What a great show. I cannot believe how much value Ed brought to us as a listening community. I mean, this is phenomenal. Oh my gosh. Well, thank you. Thank him so much for all that he's done. We've got some great shows coming up here at the end of the week. Wednesday, like I said, Wednesday, I'm going to be off because I'm going to be at the hospital, but that'll be fun. So we're going to have Wes Wyatt come on, and Wes is going to deliver some knowledge to you as well. And then on Thursday, we've got none other than Mark Brown, another world championship speaker. So he's going to be here as well. And then on Friday, we have two shows that we do. The Vision Alignment Show at 10 o'clock with Larry Levine, Larry Levine talks about sales and sales leadership. And then 11:30, we have Tom Shelton coming on to talk about disabilities and how to be a caregiver in these times with disabilities, with people with disabilities. So a lot of great value coming to you here in the next few days. I am so excited that you can be here with us to join us. So, but there is one thing that I want to make sure that I have asked you for. It's to become a part of this podium, this membership site that I have, and a part of that is the newsletters. So there's newsletters that I offer, and I'm going to show them here in a second. But on these newsletters, you can see that I have a value that I'm giving to you. I want to make sure that we're helping you to understand your blind spots. I want to make sure that we understand that what makes you unique. So we talk about Wink and the Wink workbook. There's a lot of value that can be gathered from that. So in this newsletter that's run across the bottom here, understand how important it is to know your vision and make sure your vision is aligned with your core beliefs, your core values, and your core strengths. So much like Ed did with us here today, I want to make sure that you can do that as well. So if there's ever anything that I can help you with, by all means, let me know. But, there's just so much to be had and so much to be gained from having these conversations with other people and seeing what they're doing. So as always, I just appreciate you. I appreciate you being here. And as always, keep one eye on the